Unexpected twist. Billionaire's heartwarming bet with Waitress reveals life-changing love story. In the cozy heart of Maplewood, where each diner chair echoed laughter and every bell jingle felt like a hug, Sarah poured coffee with a smile that could brighten the gloomiest of days. At 28, she juggled waitressing at Maplewood, caring for her ailing mother and pursuing her younger brother's college dreams. Day in and day out, her world revolved around chipped linoleum and fluorescent lights, each moment a testament to the heart of a woman who refused to let life weigh her down. But on a slow Tuesday afternoon, the bell above the door chimed in a way that sent shivers of anticipation crawling up her spine. Ethan stepped inside, a seemingly ordinary man whose designer clothes hugged every detail of wealth. He blended in with the backs of the booths, yet his eyes revealed a yearning that matched her own. Little did Sarah know that beneath the surface lay a billionaire seeking solace, ready to wager everything on a weekend that would change them both forever. "Quick bet," he grinned, surprising her as she refilled his coffee mug. "I'll treat you to a weekend of adventure outside this diner, and you show me what it's like to live a day without worries." Sarah's heart raced at the idea. "You're serious?" "Absolutely. Just think of it as an escape. What do you say?" Feeling the weight of her dreams, she nodded. It was a fleeting chance, a spark in her long, drawn-out days. They began their weekend journey under the embracing sun, exploring lakes bursting with life. With every shared laugh and personal story, a new bond began to weave between them, filled with an understanding that transcended their worlds. Ethan shared how he was suffocated by expectation, while Sarah revealed her fierce ambitions and her hope to bring joy to her family. These moments, laced with vulnerability and laughter, heightened the warmth between them, igniting something magical. But reality lingered just below the surface. As they lay under a blanket of stars, Sarah's phone buzzed with news from her mother's doctor, the news she dreaded. Panic hit her like a wave, and just like that, the fragile dreamscape she entered shattered into countless pieces. Ethan sensed the change, his heart a storm of confusion as he watched her retreat into the shadows of worry. Even as he vowed to help, revealing hints of his wealth, silence thickened between them. "Don't!" Sarah cried, tears prickling her eyes. "You think money solves everything, but this is real." "Sarah, it's not like that." Before he could finish, she turned away, feeling betrayed. The heartwarming adventure descended into disappointment. The air crackled with tension, the weight of shared moments clawing at her spirit. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue." As Sarah returned to her daily grind at Maplewood, the community of Maplewood rallied behind her. Their calls and support flooded in, illuminating the spirit of neighborly love that carried them through hardship. The warmth from her community was a flicker of hope in her heart, but her unresolved feelings for Ethan lingered, thick like fog. With every coffee cup she filled, she pondered the choice ahead. Could love thrive amid economic divides? And as Ethan watched from afar, longing to reveal the man he had become, he contemplated losing a person who saw beyond riches. What would it take to bridge the gap, to reconcile their worlds? The answers hung heavy in the air, and the future lay tantalizingly uncertain. The next few days felt like an eternity for Sarah. At Mabel's diner, she moved through the motions, greeting familiar faces with a practiced smile. But inside, her thoughts were tangled. Ethan's words echoed in her mind. He had been more than just a man of wealth. He was someone who seemed to truly care. But when faced with her reality, it felt as if he had pulled a curtain over their fleeting happiness, leaving her exposed and vulnerable. One evening, as the sun dipped below the Maplewood horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet, Sarah stepped outside the diner for a breather. Cool air washed over her, and for a moment, she closed her eyes, imagining herself back under that blanket of stars. Would she allow someone like Ethan into her life? Could she trust that he truly understood her struggle? A car door slammed nearby, pulling her from her thoughts. She opened her eyes to see Ethan striding towards her, his expression serious yet hopeful. Her heart raced, caught between fear and longing. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice tinged with urgency. "About what?" she replied, crossing her arms defensively. "About us, about everything. I know what happened hurt you, and I understand why you were upset." He took a step closer, the weight of his presence demanding her attention. "But I want to help you, Sarah. Just let me." She shook her head. "And what does that help look like? A donation? A paycheck? Money won't make my problems disappear." "It's not that simple, Ethan." The silence hung heavy between them, thick with all the unsaid words swirling in the air. "I don't want to fix you. I want to walk this path with you," he said, his voice softening. "Please don't dismiss me without giving us a chance." Something in his tone shifted her perspective. Ethan was not just a billionaire. He was someone who had shown genuine interest in her life, her family. But could she bridge her world with his? Could love truly transcend material divides? Before she could voice her thoughts, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a text from her mother's doctor, a message she dreaded. "Please call when you can." Panic bubbled up again as Sarah's hand trembled. "Is everything okay?" Ethan's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. "No," she said, panic rising in her throat. "It's my mom. I need to go." "Let me drive you," he offered immediately. With her heart in turmoil, she declined. "No, I can't let you. Just please go." But as she turned to walk away, she felt his fingers gently clasp her wrist, grounding her in that moment. "Sarah, whatever is happening, you don't have to face it alone." Her resolve cracked, and for a fleeting moment, she allowed herself to lean into the warmth of his touch. "And if I say yes, what will that change?" Ethan's eyes bore into hers, filled with sincerity and a longing that ignited a flicker of hope amidst her fear. "Maybe everything." The words hung between them like a fragile bridge, daring her to step onto it. But could she trust it wouldn't collapse? An internal tug-of-war raged within her. She longed for his support, not just an escape. Did love have a place in the chaos of her life? Just when she was on the edge of making a choice, another text popped up, further spiraling her anxiety. "Sarah." Her heart sank. What was she going to do? The moment felt suspended, an intimate dance between heartache and hope. But Ethan's grip remained on her wrist, a gentle reminder that sometimes reaching for love meant overcoming fear. And as the evening air cradled them, the future loomed ahead like an undrawn curtain. Would she step forward into Ethan's world, or close this chapter for good? With her heart racing, she took a deep breath, ready to speak. But just before she could voice her decision, the crackling of distant thunder echoed ominously in the distance. The thunder rumbled again, louder this time, echoing the storm brewing inside Sarah. She looked up at the darkening sky, and it felt as if the universe itself was weighing in on her decision. "Sarah?" Ethan's voice was steady, but she could see the worry creeping into his eyes. It tugged at her heartstrings, but it also sparked doubt. Could she truly let him in after so long, keeping herself guarded? "I can't drag you into my chaos," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. "My mom's health. It's complicated. It's not fair to you." Ethan stepped closer, his expression both tender and intense. "You're not dragging me anywhere. I'm here because I want to be, because I care. Let me show you, please." Her heart ached at the sincerity in his voice, yet fear held her feet to the pavement. "What if I'm not strong enough? What if things go wrong? Maybe we both learn how to be strong together," he said, gently squeezing her wrist, anchoring her in that swirling storm of thoughts. Tears prickled at the corners of Sarah's eyes, fighting their way to the surface. She took a shaky breath, tasting the salt of unshed tears. "You don't understand. I've dealt with so much on my own. I'm scared. I want to be independent. I don't want to lean on you." A crack of lightning illuminated the street, a fleeting flash that mirrored the sudden realization coursing through her veins. Independence was important, but loneliness had worn her down. Maybe it wasn't about leaning on him, but learning how to share the weight. "What if I promise to stand by you and still respect your independence?" he asked, his tone earnest. "I see you, Sarah. All of you. You don't have to hide. Let me in, just a little, and I'll prove I'm not that other guy. I'm not here to buy you. I want to walk with you." The emotional gravity of his words settled over her like a warm blanket. It didn't erase her worries, but it brought with it a sense of possibility. She could feel the walls around her heart nudging ever so slightly apart. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, a reminder of the impending reality that loomed over her. She pulled it out, her eyes darting to the screen, but Ethan's gaze remained steady and reassuring. "It's the doctor," she blurted, instant dread replacing the tentative hope she felt only moments ago. "Answer it," he urged gently. "You need to know what's going on." The courage in his voice was a lifeline, and she hesitated only a moment longer before pressing the button to connect the call. Her pulse raced as she brought the phone to her ear, the sound of her mother's doctor filling the silence. "Hello, Sarah. We need to discuss your mother's condition. It's urgent." With each word, dread seeped back into her heart, but Ethan's hand did not let go of her wrist. He stayed, grounding her, fortifying the strength she almost forgot she had. When she hung up, emotions flickered across her face. "The doctor wants to talk in person. It's not good, Ethan." He stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "Then let me drive you. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." For the first time, Sarah considered that maybe she didn't have to handle everything alone. Maybe sharing the burden just a little wouldn't be the end of her independence, but a new beginning. The stormy night ignited with another explosion of lightning, illuminating Ethan's earnest eyes and the way he held her close. The world faded outside their bubble of uncertainty, and she found herself nodding slowly, a seed of trust taking root in her heart. "Okay," she whispered, her breath shaky. "Let us go?" Just then, the sound of the diner door creaked open, and when Sarah turned her head, she saw Mabel, the diner owner, holding a concerned gaze. "You all right out here, Sarah?" she called, a motherly worry softening her voice. As the memories of laughter, friendship, and support flickered in her mind, the weight of her decision danced in the air. With a mixture of excitement and anxiety, Sarah looked back at Ethan. Could this really change everything? Before they made their way to the car, a piece of her heart whispered in uncharted hope. What if this was the moment her life took a different turn? And as they stepped into the vehicle, she knew this was just the beginning of their journey, but where would it lead them? The car's engine roared to life, cutting through the night's palpable tension. Sarah felt the warmth of Ethan's hand still resting on her knee, a steady rhythm in the chaotic storm of her thoughts. As they pulled away from the diner, the streetlights flickered, casting fleeting shadows that danced across the dashboard. "Do you want to talk about it?" Ethan's voice was soft and non-intrusive, the kind that encouraged sharing without pressure. She grimaced, feeling the weight of words stuck in her throat. "I don't even know what to say." "Just start wherever you feel comfortable," he replied, glancing at her, his eyes filled with a tenderness that made her heart ache. Taking a deep breath, she finally let out what had been heavy on her mind. "It's my mom. She's been in and out of the hospital for months. I thought we were getting better, but I guess I was too hopeful." The silence that followed was thick. Ethan didn't rush to fill it. Instead, he focused on the road, giving her the sanctuary to lay bare her fears. Inspired by his patience, Sarah continued, "I tried to be strong for her, for myself. But it's exhausting. I can't keep pretending that everything is okay." He nodded, the intensity of his gaze unwavering. "It's okay to not be okay, Sarah. Not only are you dealing with your mom's health, but managing your emotions too. No one can do that alone." Her heart fluttered at his understanding. How many people would rush to dismiss her struggle, thinking they knew better? Yet here he was quiet, calm, and real. "I've always been the one who took care of everything. If I let someone in now, it feels like I'll lose that part of me," she admitted, her voice trembling with vulnerability. Ethan turned onto a quieter road, the headlights illuminating sections of wet pavement. "Maybe it's not about losing that part, but about reshaping it. You can still be strong and lean on someone. It doesn't have to mean you're weak." "Reshaping," she repeated, letting the word roll around in her mind. It felt foreign yet inviting. "That's a new concept for me." Silence enveloped them again, braided with electric anticipation and uncertainty. In that moment, as they drove into the night, she wanted to believe that her flaws and allowing others to see them might lead her to a stronger version of herself. As they neared the hospital, the looming structure cut through the clouds, a stark reminder of the reality waiting for her. Anxiety flared in her chest, a biting cold that took her breath away. "What if I can't handle what they tell me?" she asked, her voice tightening with dread. "Then you let me be there," right by your side. Whatever comes next, we'll handle it together, he promised, glancing at her again. His words wrapped around her heart like a warm embrace, giving her just enough strength to push through. The hospital loomed closer, its lights spilling into the night like an offering. She nodded decisively, determination building along with the storm inside her. Okay, let us do this. But as they parked, the air shifted, and her heart dropped. Ethan, wait. Her voice came out sharper than she intended. What if you regret this? What if I break? What if it's more than you bargained for? Ethan turned to her, his expression softening. I won't regret it. I promise you that. You're worth it. His words hung in the air, like a flickering streetlight attempting to shine against the darkness. As Sarah felt the whisper of hope battling a tide of anxiety, she took a deep, steadying breath. Let us go, she whispered, summoning the courage she desperately needed. But as they stepped out into the rain, she didn't notice the figure emerging from the shadows near the entrance, a familiar face, one that could change everything for both of them. As thunder rumbled overhead, Sarah's heart raced at the thought. Would this be the moment that tested everything she was beginning to believe? Would the truth unhinge her journey or strengthen the bond forming between them? The first drops of rain hit the ground as Sarah hesitated, her gaze drawn to the figure in the shadows. The world around her faded, and all that existed was the person stepping into the light. It was her ex-boyfriend, Mark. Sarah? His voice was a mixture of disbelief and hope, a nightmarish echo from her past. She hadn't seen him since the breakup, and the sight of him sent a jolt through her entire body. What are you doing here? She stammered, feeling her heart sink. She glanced at Ethan, who stood stiff and silent beside her, the warmth of his hand slipping away as he took a step forward. Just visiting a friend, Mark said, shrugging, his casual demeanor contrasting starkly with the whirlwind of emotions churning in Sarah's chest. I didn't expect to see you. Clearly, Sarah replied, trying to keep her voice steady. The memories flooded back, the heartbreak, the disappointment. The last thing she wanted was to revisit the past now, not when she had finally started to rebuild her spirit. Ethan looked between them, his protective instincts flaring as he sensed the tension crackling in the air. Maybe we should go inside, he said, his tone firm yet calm, trying to diffuse the situation. No, wait. Mark stepped closer, his eyes meeting Sarah's, pleading for a moment of clarity. We need to talk. I have changed, Sarah. I didn't appreciate you when I had you. I see that now. A laugh escaped Sarah's lips, sharp and bitter. You think just saying that makes everything okay? You disappeared when I needed you the most. He opened his mouth to reply, but the words fell flat. The truth was too undeniable, a jagged scar carved into the timeline of their lives. This isn't the time or place, Ethan interjected, a low rumble creeping into his voice. Sarah felt the intensity of his presence, a solid anchor against the swirling storm of her thoughts. Ethan, Sarah glanced between them, feeling trapped. Would coming face to face with Mark unravel everything she was starting to rebuild? The weight of her past collided with the budding connection she had with Ethan. Look, it's been a long night, Ethan continued. Let us take care of what brought us here first. Your mom needs you. She is more important than this. The thunder cracked above them, the flurry of raindrops intensifying as if nature itself was mirroring her inner chaos. But I can't just ignore this, Sarah argued, her heart racing. But deep down, she knew Ethan was right. If he has changed, doesn't he deserve a chance to explain? She hesitated, feeling a conflict brewing within her. Mark shifted uncomfortably. I'm not asking for a chance to rerun the past. I just need to say I'm sorry before it's too late. The words hung in the air, heavy with implications. But as she looked at Ethan, she realized that this was her chance to choose to let the past stay buried or embrace a moment of vulnerability. What happened then doesn't erase what's happening now, she said slowly, her voice stronger than she felt. You hurt me, Mark. I can't pretend I forgot that. As her pulse quickened, the knot in her stomach twisted tighter. Could she really handle this confrontation, especially now? But the look in Mark's eyes, a mix of regret and sincerity, began to crack through her wall of confusion. Sarah, Ethan urged quietly, squeezing her hand. Whatever you decide, I'm right here. You won't have to carry any of this alone. She took a deep breath, glancing at the hospital looming ahead, where her mother awaited. Right there and then, She felt like her whole existence hung in the balance. "I need to think," she managed to say, her voice softer. But in the middle of her turmoil, a flood of realization washed over her. Was she ready to confront her past? As the rain poured down, each drop felt like a question echoing in her mind. What if this moment, with all its emotion, could redefine her future? Just then, another flash of lightning illuminated the night, and Sarah caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure watching from afar, a new presence in an already chaotic night. Who were they, and what weight would they add to her? Fragile moment? The rain drummed a frantic melody against the pavement, drowning out the noise of their emotions swirling in the air. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the weight of the night was shifting, threatening to tumble everything into chaos or clarity. Mark stared at her, his expression caught between desperation and unsteady hope. She could almost feel the history pulsing between them, the unspoken words and unresolved hurt blending into the rhythm of the rain. Mark started, his voice barely audible over the storm. "Please, just hear me out." Ethan took a step closer, positioning himself as a barrier between the past and Sarah's uncertain future. "You can talk all you want, but understand this. She doesn't owe you anything. Not after what you put her through." His eyes narrowed, fierce and protective. The intensity of Ethan's tone sent a jolt of warmth through Sarah. This man, her steady rock, stood ready to defend her, and it felt right. Yet, the memories of Mark haunted her, bright moments shadowed by pain. "Maybe I do owe him a chance," she murmured, surprising even herself. Her gaze drifted back to Mark, whose eyes widened with a flicker of gratitude and fear. "Just a chance to explain," she added, almost as if speaking to her own lingering doubt. "Not a chance to hurt me again." Mark nodded, his posture shifting, an urgency in his demeanor. "I've spent so long regretting how I treated you. I haven't been the same since we broke up. I never wanted to hurt you, but I was too caught up in myself. You deserved so much more." The rain fell heavier, soaking through Sarah's clothes, but it felt refreshing against her skin, like a cleansing moment. She struggled to find her voice, each word heavy with history. "Did you really come here to apologize, or to just pick up where we left off?" "I came to say I'm sorry, but I came to see you too," he admitted, his sincerity evident, yet a small part of her recoiled at the idea. Ethan cleared his throat, tension crackling like electricity in the air. "Sarah, I know this is complicated, but you don't have to do this alone. Think about what you really want." A faint smile flickered on her face, a glimmer of gratitude. How could he see her so clearly? As Sarah turned back to Mark, her heart raced not just with fear, but with the thrill of possibility. "I'm not the same girl you knew, Mark. I've grown. I've learned." He took a step closer, cautious, as if inching onto fragile ground. "And I admire that. I just want to explain everything. I need you to know how much I've changed." The thunder rumbled above, but Sarah didn't flinch. She wanted to hear him out, but doubts nagged at the edges of her mind. Could this really lead to something meaningful, or would it pull her under, back into the murky waters of a painful past? Suddenly, a loud crash sounded, and in the distance, she spotted the shadow again, this time moving closer, merging with the darkness. Who were they, and why did it seem like they were watching everything unfold? In that moment, Sarah realized she wasn't just facing Mark or her past. There was something else lurking in the shadows, something that might change everything. "Ethan," she whispered, her heart nearly stopping. "Do you see that figure?" Ethan shifted his gaze, concern rushing over his features. "What figure? Are you sure you're okay?" "No, I saw someone watching us. We need to be careful." As paranoia edged into her thoughts, everything began to tilt, turning the night into a blend of fear and uncertainty. Who had emerged from the shadows? Was she ready to confront not only her past, but whatever new threat loomed ahead? The world felt unsteady, but one thing was clear. Sarah couldn't walk away now, not when the stakes were this high. With her heart thumping in her chest, she prepared to face whatever came next. The wind picked up, swirling the rain as if it were a living entity. Sarah's pulse quickened, each heartbeat echoing in the thrumming chaos around her. She glanced toward Mark and then back at Ethan, grateful for his warm presence. Somehow, the weight of the confrontation now felt heightened by an unseen danger just beyond their reach. "Stay close to me," Ethan urged, his voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty beneath the surface. Sarah nodded, drawing strength from the connection they had built. Mark's eyes flickered between them, caught in a storm of his own. I didn't mean to scare you. I want to make things right. For real this time, he stammered, but doubt painted his words. Make things right? Sarah's brow furrowed. You can't just mend a wound like that with words. It takes time. Mark's shoulders sagged, and she could see the conflict warring within him. I know. He took a deep breath, as if trying to assemble his thoughts in the midst of the growing tension. But if you just listen to me, I can explain. Before she could respond, the shadow darted forward, breaking through the curtain of rain. Sarah squinted, her stomach twisting into knots. Who is that? She whispered, fear clutching her throat. She felt Ethan tense beside her, his instincts on high alert. Stay behind me. He positioned himself defensively, his protective nature leaping to the forefront. The figure emerged from the darkness, and as the rain painted patterns of distinction against the streetlight, Sarah squinted in disbelief. The outline solidified into a familiar face, one she hadn't expected to see at all. Laura, her childhood friend. Laura? Sarah gasped, bewildered. What are you doing here? I was looking for you, Laura exclaimed, her voice cutting through the storm. I saw the two of you from a distance and didn't know what to think, so I came closer. I didn't want to interrupt. Her eyes darted to Mark and then back to Sarah, concern furrowing her brow. But things look different now, don't they? Mark stepped back slightly, the tension giving way to confusion. You know her? He asked. Yes, Sarah replied, her confusion giving way to relief. She's one of my closest friends. I've been worried about you. Laura pressed, urgency in her voice. I felt something was off ever since we lost touch. I couldn't ignore it. I had to find out if you were okay. Ethan glanced at Sarah, silently checking in with her. She could see the question lying behind his eyes. Did she want to complicate things further? But Laura's arrival sparked something inside of her. Maybe this wasn't just about Mark anymore. What did you see? Sarah asked Laura, her voice steadier now. You said something was off? I can't explain it well, but there's been talk rumors. I thought of coming to see you, but then I saw him. She gestured toward Mark. And it made me feel like I needed to warn you. Warn. Sarah's mind raced. About what? Before Laura could respond, another loud noise shattered their conversation, a crash that echoed through the alleyway. The light flickered ominously, and Sarah's heart seized again. Let us get out of the rain. We can talk inside, Ethan said, and Sarah could hear the urgency underpinning his words. It grounded her momentarily, ushering in the possibility of safety, of answers. They turned to walk away. Sarah shot one last glance at Mark, who looked as puzzled and hurt as she felt. Whatever was happening in the shadows of the night must be faced together. The past and present intertwining, each step deeper into the unknown. But would they be able to shake off the dangers that lurked near, or was this merely the beginning of an even more tangled web? As they entered a nearby cafe, the smell of warm coffee and baked goods welcomed them. The rain poured fiercely outside, but inside, a different storm was brewing. Sarah felt the tension in the air shift again. With her heart racing, she braced for what would come next. What secrets did Laura hold? And would they all make it through the night unscathed? The cafe was dimly lit, the warm glow of fairy lights hanging over the wooden tables. Sarah, Ethan, and Laura settled into a booth, the sound of rain drumming against the windows creating a calming backdrop to the tumult inside her heart. She could see the steam rising from the mugs being poured at the counter, its inviting aroma filling the air, yet every scent and sight was tinged with the uneasy undercurrents of their conversation. Just tell me, Sarah urged Laura, a flicker of anxiety threading through her. What do you know? Laura looked nervously between Mark and Sarah before leaning in closer. I overheard something about Mark's past. About his family. She hesitated, biting her lip as if weighing the potential fallout of her revelation. His family? Ethan echoed, his protective stance never wavering. What about them? They're not who they seem. Laura took a breath, her eyes darting again. There are rumors. There's talk of money and power, of deals being made that don't just involve him. It's dangerous, Sarah. You shouldn't be close to him. Mark's face turned a shade paler. What are you saying? I'm not involved in anything dangerous. I made mistakes, but I'm not the villain here. Not yet, Laura replied, her voice steady but low. But if what I've heard is true, you could be pulled into something you can't escape. Sarah felt the weight of Laura's words. It was one thing to worry about the past, but now it felt like danger was creeping into the present, threatening to swallow them whole. She took a sip of her coffee, using the heat to steady her trembling hands. "Ethan," she said softly, searching for reassurance in his eyes. "What do we do? If Mark's in trouble, we figure this out together," he answered firmly. His gaze was determined, a fortress against uncertainty. "Listen to what Laura has to say. Tell me everything," Sarah insisted, her pulse racing at the reality of their situation, the truth unraveling like threads from a fraying garment. Laura hesitated again, looking out the window. "I don't want to scare you, but there are people watching. I think they might be after Mark." "After me?" Mark looked incredulous. "What are you talking about?" "No, I might be wrong," Laura said hastily, "but late last night, I saw a car following me, and then I noticed it was parked outside your place. I didn't want to believe it at first, but there's definitely something going on." Mark's expression shifted from disbelief to apprehension. "You think someone's threatening me?" Ethan moved closer to the table, his eyes sharp, scanning the cafe like a hawk. "If that's true, we can't wait around here. We need to act." The weight of the world seemed to crash down around Sarah, her instincts screaming at her. "We need a plan. Maybe we should call the police? Do you think they would believe us or him?" Laura shot back, panic creeping into her voice. "What about his family? They have connections, and if they know we're onto them, then we might be out of time," Ethan concluded, a fire igniting in his gaze. Suddenly, a heavy thud rang through the cafe. They all turned, eyes wide, as the door slammed open against the wall. A figure stood silhouetted in the rain, water pouring off his soaked clothes. The cafe fell silent. "Mark," the man yelled, his voice resonating with urgency and rage. "We need to talk. Now." Every heart in the room froze. Sarah could feel the blood pounding in her ears. Who was this man, and how did he know Mark? "Look out," Ethan shouted, pulling Sarah close. But as glass shattered from outside, she knew they were all standing at the edge of a precipice, and the plunge ahead would be anything but safe. What awaited them beyond the threshold of the cafe? The sudden crash of glass shattered the tense silence, sending a ripple of panic through the cafe. Sarah's heart raced as she clutched Ethan's arm, his muscles tense beside her. Laura's eyes widened, caught between fear and disbelief, while Mark's face morphed from shock to determination in an instant. "Stay down," Ethan shouted, instinctively shielding Sarah with his body. The urgency in his voice resonated like a siren, igniting a primal instinct to protect. The man in the doorway stepped further inside, shaking off rain like a wild beast. The cafe's dim lighting revealed sharp features and dark eyes that bore an intense frustration. "They're coming for you, Mark," he said, not bothering to conceal his urgency. "You need to leave now." "Who are you?" Mark demanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. Sarah marveled at how quickly he adapted, shifting from shock to authority. "Jake," the man replied, his expression a blend of anxiety and anger. "I'm here to get you out before it's too late." Ethan's protective stance didn't waver. "Get him out." "From what?" "You burst in here like some kind of crazy, like a friend trying to keep him alive." Jake interrupted sharply. "They're not just threats, this is serious. I thought I had more time to prepare you, but they're moving faster than I anticipated." "What is going on?" Sarah finally found her voice, her heart pounding like a distant drum. "What do you mean they're coming for Mark?" Mark opened his mouth, but before he could explain, the door swung open again, revealing another figure lurking in the rain. This one wore a long coat, shadowing their features. The cafe fell completely silent, every voice swallowed by the weight of the moment. "Mark," the newcomer called, their voice cold and commanding. "You can't run forever." Fear wrapped around Sarah like a vice. Who is that?" Mark swallowed hard, his determination fading as he recognized the newcomer. A shadow from his past had arrived, and she could see the storm brewing behind his eyes. "Let me handle this," he muttered, releasing a breath that trembled with uncertainty. "No, you can't just confront them like this," Ethan insisted, his protective instincts flaring. "We stick together." Everyone in the cafe had transformed into mere spectators, their coffees forgotten, eyes darting between the figures on the threshold. Jake turned to Mark, his voice urgent. "You can't face them. We need to get you out of here now." I have a car parked around the corner. But Mark, caught in a whirlpool of confrontation and responsibility, shook his head. I can't just run. Not when the newcomer took a step forward, their presence overwhelming. Mark, you have no idea what you're involved in. This is not just about you anymore. What does that mean? Laura's voice was shaky but resolute. What is happening? Just then, the lights in the cafe flickered ominously. The tension heightened, the air thick with dread and unspoken truths. Jake faced Mark, desperation creeping into his tone. They'll do whatever it takes to stop you. We need to go, or it's not just your life that will be at stake. Across the cafe, an uneasy silence lingered with the weight of the truth about to unravel. Mark's choice would change everything. Are you ready to risk everything? Jake asked, locking eyes with Mark, searching for a glimmer of resolve. If this gets any worse, you may lose far more than your freedom. The stakes had never felt higher. Sarah's heart pounded loudly in her chest. Each beat asking the same question, what would Mark choose? Before anyone could breathe, Mark took a step forward, the storm of his past swirling in his eyes. Then let us talk. And at that moment, as Sarah fought with the fear tightening around her, she realized they weren't just stepping into the unknown. They were walking into a battle for their futures. What awaited them on the other side of that confrontation? The cafe buzzed with tension, the threat looming over them like the dark clouds outside. As Mark stepped forward, Sarah felt the full weight of the impending storm pressing down. She cast a quick glance at Ethan, whose expression matched her unease. This reckoning was about to change everything. Mark, wait. Sarah grasped his arm, panic slicing through her. You don't have to do this alone. We can figure it out together. Mark paused, his gaze flickering between Sarah and the formidable figure that loomed in the doorway. The tightness of his jaw spoke volumes, but he shook his head, determination etched in every line of his face. If I don't face this now, they will come after you too. I won't let that happen. Ethan stepped up, his stance firm. We all stick together. Whatever is going down, it's not just your fight. You've got us, and we're not backing down. The newcomer, draped in shadows, scoffed lightly. This isn't about camaraderie, kid. It's survival. You're either with him or against him. Fear gnawed at Sarah, the electric atmosphere charging her heart with uncertainty. What is really happening, Mark? You can't just walk into danger without explaining. Sarah, Mark turned back, grappling with the words. I didn't want you involved in this. I should have told you more about my family, about the debts, the enemies. But I want to know. She reached for his hand, grounding herself in the bond they once shared, fragile, yet full of memories. I want to help, not hide from this. Help. The figure in the shadows stepped forward, malevolence glinting in his eyes. That might get you both killed, sweetheart. The tension could be cut with a knife, and Sarah's breath hitched as the past and present collided with a terrifying force. Jake interjected, urgency seeping into his tone. There's no time, Mark. You have to decide. We can't keep waiting. Mark hesitated, his chest rising and falling heavily. If I run, I could expose you all to the same danger I face. But if I stay, before he could finish, the door swung open again, gusting in the fury of the storm. A cold rush swept through, and another figure stepped in, this one familiar, eyes bright with defiance. Mark, shouted a voice that echoed with family ties. It was Samantha, his sister, her face stern but alive with determination. I know they've been looking for you. We need to leave now? Gasps broke out among the patrons as realization washed over them. This was bigger than personal grudges or past mistakes. It was a war being waged in silence, and they were suddenly caught in the crossfire. Sam, Mark breathed, dread and gratitude mixing in his voice. You shouldn't be here. I told you to stay away. Samantha shook her head vehemently. You don't get to decide that. I'm not letting you face this alone. We can fight together. Sarah watched as Mark's resolve wavered, caught between his family's turbulent past and the embers of hope igniting in the present. What can we do? He said, his voice quiet but steady. You let the past die, Jake urged. We'll expose them together. But if you don't act now, it could mean losing everything: your family, your friends, even her. He gestured toward Sarah, and time seemed to freeze, the truth hovering in the air like dark clouds ready to burst. Mark took a breath, the weight of responsibility pressing down heavily. Okay, let us do this, he said, his voice cracking slightly, but the fire in his eyes sparked a commitment to fight for those he loved. Together, then, Ethan declared, standing side by side with Mark and Samantha. And in that moment, Sarah stepped forward, feeling the energy encasing them all. "I won, T-Ron," she asserted, feeling strength coursing through her veins, fueled by the bonds they were forging anew. "We face whatever's coming together." Thunder rumbled outside, a raw symphony honoring their decision. Whatever lay ahead would be a battle not just against Mark's threats, but against the uncertainties tightening their paths. As they stood in unity, cloaked in shared strength, Sarah felt the world around them transform. No longer just individuals, trapped in their own lives, they were a collective force ready to rise above fear and reclaim their power. Their presence ignited a resolve that banished shadows, the storm outside a mere backdrop to the storm inside them. Each heartbeat a rallying cry together. They would confront the past and defy the future ahead. And as the echo of their united purpose filled the cafe, a quiet calm washed over them, weaving hope into their hearts. This was only the beginning, and they would emerge stronger, together. Now, as the remnants of their turmoil slowly settled into resolve, it was time to act. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, but also with the promise of love and connection. Would they succeed? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. They walked forward, hand in hand, braving the storm together. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe. Now it's your chance to be part of our journey. Don't wait, not even one more second, to share. Real fans step up.